It's a podcast from Steam Powered Giraffe. It's the Bennettarium. Oh, we're gonna spoil all the movies on the Bennettarium. Oh yeah, it's the Bennettarium, and it's starting right now.
Ladies, gentlemen, NBs, and various others, welcome to the Bennettarium, your podcast from the creators, the performers of Steam Powered Giraffe.
That was the highest we've ever done of that.
That was a pretty, yeah.
It was in like I think it was in my chest voice, but at the very high range.
You thought you could throw me for a loop, but nope.
And at the end,
you just bring it back, bring it up.
Yeah, see, that's the best part about harmonies. If you know them by heart, you can. It doesn't matter what key.
Plus, having a twin, it's easy to harmonize with each other.
Well, let's get down to the brass tacks.
Hi, my name is Isabella Bunny Bennett, and I play Rabbit in Steam Powered Giraffe. And Gigi the Giraffe. And all the other high voice characters.
I think you scared the bird.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
We have a bird as a special guest. There's a cage behind us in the recording studio, aka my living room in the apartment.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Peniak. I'm a Walter worker with Steam Powered Giraffe. My special guest today is Vigo, the green cheek pineapple conure, Camille's bird. He's going to be behind us, probably
That's
screaming.
right. And later on, you're going to bring out an enchilada and a echidna. Right? This is a zoo episode.
Enchilada? An enchilada?
You know, like you're an animal handler.
Don't be like teasing enchiladas when.
And my name's David Michael Bennett, and I play Rabbit, and I also play Gigi the Giraffe.
I also play.
I just realized Vigo does
Biff
not like the Gigi voice.
I also play Biff the rhinoceros.
I didn't know I was the stupidest rhino at the zoo.
I also play the rhino when Bunny's fee is too much.
I don't have a horn because I bit it off. I don't know how that happened.
Oh yeah, they don't do that. They'd rub their horns off.
No, I don't have a horn.
Yep.
All right. Well.
And what else do you play, Chelsea?
Okay, so there's cookies in front of us. What's the deal here?
Can I just say that
What are these
I
cookies
cannot
here?
get the smell of these cookies out
They're
of my
just
nose.
wafting.
No, we're gonna have to paint a picture for all of you podcast listeners out there who aren't an Engineer Tier and Patreon subscriber.
There's a bunch of Oreos cascaded around a plate.
I'm going to take a picture.
There's a central chocolate fountain sputtering up.
No, there's not that, but
Delicious molten chocolate.
don't get the light reflection here. It makes it makes the
No,
plate look.
I know.
It makes the plate look milky. There's like a light right above us.
What? Oh, it does look. Man, you need to put something in the center.
Yeah.
Anyways, so last night on a whim, we needed a toilet paper and Pepto-Bismol. I won't say who needed it. It wasn't me.
What did you have? There's more to this story. What did you have for dinner?
No, it wasn't that. It was just that we were out of it and we needed it. So
They're unrelated.
it's a sound. I mean,
Okay.
regardless of what it sounds
All right.
like. So we were like,
No judgments here.
well, I could order some. It'd take a few days or we could go out, but none of us wanted to. So we ordered Prime Now. We got some toilet paper.
Okay.
And we got some Pepto. And
Scratch.
then I ordered 6 different types of Oreos as well, just so I could get that free shipping.
By the time you order 6 boxes of Oreos, you're paying more than you would have with the shipping.
I'm not a snack person, but when I saw all the flavors they had, I was like, wow, and they're only $4 each.
That's a lot of flavors. So why don't you take us?
So
through
the first thing before we get on the spoilers, so we'll say when it's spoiler time.
Yeah, you could. Don't worry.
There'll be an alarm. Stuff will fall from the ceiling. You won't be able to hear it. Well, you'll hear it hit the microphones. All the confetti. It's real heavy stuff. Okay, so this is it's sampler time.
Sampler time. All right. So
Let's see. So the first one we're gonna taste is the one that probably no one's gonna like. Is the lemon. Okay, everyone ready?
Oh no.
God.
So the lemon.
I ate like 7 of these last night. I'm going to die.
Eat your Oreos.
It has a nice cookie bouquet.
Okay.
A smell to the
Oreo
smell.
tasting is our first agenda.
So
These are pretty thick. Look at. Are they double
Yeah,
stuffed?
there's like, it's just
Holy
a
shit.
huge amount of.
So
Thanks, America. You
Don't
did it
swear
again.
on our podcast.
What'd I say?
You said shit, but shit's okay.
Oh.
So these are lemon Oreos.
I already ate one.
They have a white. They're a white cookie, like a yellowy cookie with
My least favorite.
with a lemon filling.
There's no chocolate on them, so what's the point?
It's like. It's okay, but it's not like something I want in an Oreo. Like I'd rather have it like as a pastry
it just
or
tastes
something.
like a Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
You know what I don't like about it?
I'm not gonna.
It's almost
finish.
too citrusy. I almost wish it was more artificially. It has an aftertaste as if you're eating. You're tasting the rind of the lemon, right?
We can put the rejects in the middle.
Or like it's almost like the smell of the leaves of it. It's a leafy taste.
I mean, I don't like. Yeah.
Oh, wait. I need some almond milk
It's
to
too
cleanse the
citrusy.
palate
Yeah,
in between.
especially now, it's like ugh.
Yep. The aftertaste is very citrusy.
who
So, anyways,
wants
we got a whole box of those. If you want to take a
I'm
whim.
okay. I got my.
Wait, who's not finishing their Oreo?
That's yours now, I guess. Eat it.
That's what happened last night too.
You can't let this go to waste.
All right, let's cleanse our palate.
Yeah, that wasn't very enjoyable. Like it doesn't taste like I had lemon pastries and stuff. Like those are all good, but this was awful.
We're gonna work our way around.
It's the aftertaste is the worst. It
Okay.
does taste like it just.
Lemon Oreos, you're off the market.
So next up, we got. Do we want to go clockwise or counterclockwise?
Let's save the fudge dipped Oreos for last.
Those ones look amazing.
We're gonna be like.
Do you have regular Oreos in here?
No.
Well, the fudge Oreos are regular Oreos dipped in fudge. But
Okay.
now we're moving on to the dark
Dark
chocolate Oreos.
chocolate.
Now this is a
Oh.
classic regular chocolate cookie.
These are good.
But mixed with a and you can't see this, but I opened it up. With a
Oh
very
gosh,
dark
that's very rich.
brown cream filling that's dark chocolate.
That's the stuff.
Mmm.
Is this gonna be like an ASMR video or whatever you call it?
Well, I'm chewing into the microphone, so.
This is going to be our least.
Sorry.
Our least. I spit on the microphone. It's going to be our least watched podcast.
Some people like this kind of stuff.
heard.
This is pretty good. Actually, they have a nice because you get the really sweet flavor from the cookie, but then you get the kind of more bitter, but it's still like a sweet chocolate in
They're
the center.
really good. The lemon is way too sweet.
Really, really good. This would be awesome with milk. You know.
We have milk.
Oh, I have like some milk.
We also have silk dark chocolate. That's pretty good to dip in.
Wow.
We're gonna move on to my other least favorite, along with the lemon,
Is this red velvet?
red velvet. But I think
I
they're
like this
too-
one.
Red velvet.
They're
So
they're
this-
too sugary.
This has a. I have to explain everything. This has a. Sorry, I'm wiping the microphone off my spit. It has like a very dark red cookie, and then inside is a cream cheese type vanilla.
See, I
filling.
love red velvet, but let's see.
See, a red velvet cupcake, the icing has that
It tastes like-
tangy
tastes
cream
like it, right?
cheesiness.
Yeah, the icing is
I wouldn't
similar,
say
but
it's completely
Not
creamy.
dead
It's too
on.
sweet.
It's not very creamy. Cream cheese, but it has that flavor.
It definitely tastes like red velvet.
you know what it
doesn't-
is? It's because usually red velvet cake is like super dry and like it was actually kind of enjoyable to eat all the way through. You're just like, oh yeah, the cream cheese, and then well, the red velvet cake is just there to pace yourself.
It's not that bad.
I could use less cream.
Honestly, yeah,
I don't know why you can take. There's more cream.
it
in
is.
this
I think
one.
like after like one or two, like it's way too much.
It's really sweet,
I have to be able to eat all of them, so I'm not finishing the ones I don't want.
but the flavor's
It's not a binge cookie. Yeah. I'm already done. I'm like, no, I don't want any more. I don't want another red velvet.
So
That's-
yeah, I'm gonna have Oreos for the rest of my life, basically.
the next is
They'll all go
definitely a
stale.
god tier Oreo. This is the peanut butter.
Oh my god, I've had these ones
Now
before.
hold on. Nabisco also makes Nutter Butter. So this is Nutter Butter filling for sure. It tastes like Nutter Butter filling, but
Now,
it's put in an Oreo.
you know what it reminds me
chocolate,
of?
Chocolate cookie.
Have you guys ever just taken a jar of peanut butter and a regular Oreo
Mm-hmm.
and dipped your Oreos in peanut butter? So good.
No.
Now you
I have
can
not.
skip that step.
Yep, this is good. I mean, you can't go wrong with chocolate and peanut butter.
Now this one is nice because the cream isn't very sweet, or it's not as sweet. So you could eat more than one.
It's very This one's like a binge one. This one in the dark chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Alternate them.
like red and green grapes.
Would you like to introduce the next one?
I think like
Yeah, I'm still
you need
good.
a chaser cookie for the red velvet and the lemon. No,
Like just a plain cookie.
well, anything. Yeah, just like a regular Oreo.
People
to
aren't
mix
going
it
to
up.
want to listen to this episode because we're chewing a lot in the beginning, and we're spoiling like 3 different things, and we're
Yeah,
talking about
hey.
VR.
If they didn't want to, if they didn't
Title
want to,
worst episode ever.
if they didn't want to have these Oreo reviews spoiled for them, they had plenty of time to buy their own. And
So Brian's not.
please don't say this is mint.
no.
not.
It's birthday cake.
Oh, okay, that one's
Pretty
alright.
good.
So Brian's not here today. We'll catch up with him later, but he would be perfect because he doesn't really like sweets, and I'm not a big sweet person either.
Wait, so he'd be perfect to review this?
yeah,
Does he hate all of them?
he'd be like, yeah.
The birthday cake is good. Once again, very sweet,
Yeah.
but
The birthday cake one, it's a regular
It had-
chocolate Oreo cookie But then the vanilla cream filling has a little bit of sprinkles in it, and of course it's birthday cake flavor.
Good.
Club. Very good.
Vigo, not that you can see him even when you have the video, but you can kind of see him in the back there. He's playing with the bells right now.
Well, unless you're listening to this in a car or
Wait,
something.
Let's go 3, 2, 1. Vigo. 3, 2, 1.
Vigo. He's like, what the hell?
Maybe we'll hear him by the end of the podcast. This one's pretty sweet too. Not as sweet as the red velvet, but it's still pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's good though. Yeah, it's a nice one. I don't feel like I can't eat as many Oreos anymore. Like it's like after this many, I'm
That's
like
what I was saying last
done
night.
for years because this is already like way too much sugar.
I was like, I miss my 20s when I could eat like a whole sleeve and not feel anything.
They talked about that on the. I keep spitting on this. They were talking about that on my brother and me. Where like they made fun of their teacher for like cutting a
Skittles. They're like, we understand now.
They're like, yeah, one Skittles, like that's your candy for the week.
Oh God, I already feel like I'm gonna.
I mean, but
die.
you gotta do the fudge one.
Okay, so the next one
Fudge-Covered.
is they make fudge-covered other Nabisco things, so they have fudge-covered Nutter Butters and stuff like this. So this is just the regular Oreo dipped in fudge. Fudge, yep.
It's really good.
Good.
Yep.
It starts melting in your hand pretty fast though.
It does, yeah.
Pop
It's
it
all-
all
that-
in.
It's probably because they're already room temperature. If we put them in the refrigerator, pretty good. What?
I think I'm sugared out though.
It's getting hard to chew.
Yeah,
It's
when
like,
you
I
don't
know how
when you
much
don't
more
want
I'll
to eat
swallow.
any more cookies. Someone out there is like, I'll finish them up.
Just wait till you're in your 30s.
And I have a chai frappuccino too. I did not know
Oh
this
my
is gonna be a
God.
freaking dessert episode.
Now we're gonna roll around on the floor and moan for half an hour.
You'll eat your sugar and you'll like it.
All right, let's go to the chat. How's the chat doing? How's the live chat?
Oh my God.
So much sugar.
Is the chat enjoying watching us being
My
suffer?
tongue is burning.
The human body wasn't meant to digest as much sugar. It's like, I guess you're stored up for the winter. I'm gonna put it everywhere I don't want it.
Oh my god, that's so much.
Gotta start turning it into... Well, I can ruin the episode.
All right.
Does anyone want to do the episode anymore?
Not really. I feel. At first, I was like, "Oh yeah, a cookie. That'll be nice." But you know what? One cookie would have been more than enough.
We're all dying. Sorry. So next up, we're gonna
Now it's
spoil
time to
things.
watch it.
Spoilers,
Corner.
spoilers.
Spoiler alert!
Wash
from
it all
here on
down
in.
with the vanilla frappuccino.
We're gonna spoil Endgame, Avengers Endgame, and we're gonna spoil Game of Thrones. So
and Detective Pikachu, because we've all seen all those, right? And John Wick.
Is
You know what? We
Detective
might as well talk about
Pikachu
it.
really like spoiler worthy?
Not really. I mean, I suppose so.
but we'll tell
There's
you.
Pokemon in it.
We'll warn you before we go into the
Yeah.
spoil the next movie. So let's start with everyone's. We said we were gonna.
Well, it's
do
not like
this.
we're gonna have timestamps, so they either had to stop listening.
Well, yeah.
Hey, how about this? How about we do the questions first? That way, people
All right.
Oh, okay.
can just.
And all the people who immediately turned it off or skipped ahead just now when we said spoiler alert won't
Yeah.
hear the question.
Yeah,
Well, that's their.
All right.
but whatever. What? Oh, the 15 people who listen to the podcast? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have to worry about
Okay.
it.
So we're starting with questions for
When
me.
was the podcast supposed to start? When do we usually start?
12.
Oh,
So
shoot, I
I
was
think
late.
we should go until like 1:30
Yeah.
because we started around there. All right. First question. Robo asks, "Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near?"
Well, birds like
Uh,
food. When you're at the beach, you got them bugles.
Yeah.
Seagulls love.
Every time you want
Seagulls love bugles. That's just bird
they,
sense.
Just like me, they long to be close to you. That's why.
What song was that? Oh,
Why? The lyrics tell you everything you need to know about it.
cool. Thank you for that question, Robo.
Kindy asks, "Bunny, do you still have the ears headpiece?"
The
I think
ears
they're-
headpiece?
They're referring to the first.
Oh yeah, the rabbit headpiece. Yeah, I do have the ears. They're in pieces though. I cannibalized that headpiece to make the little what is it? The
Yeah, the,
yeah,
like little.
yeah.
beret.
So
Your
I have
your
the ears,
beret
but-
thing on the side or whatever.
yeah, I have the
Hair
ears,
clip.
but they're not like they're in great shape or anything. So we've considered like maybe attaching him to Rabbit's hat or something, but it's just like gets too much, too busy She's got enough going on in her head and stuff. So, but yeah, I still got it.
Cool. Next question. Hope asks, do any of you know how to use chopsticks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not properly, but yes. I learned incorrectly, and I just do it the wrong way. But
I don't
it
think
works.
there's really a big wrong way. You can. I mean, I use 2 fingers on the bottom just for more support.
Yeah, I hold it like a pen, but like still, I just know it's not really the right way, but I get by.
Yeah, I can.
Yep. I think because we ate sushi as kids, so
Yes.
that's where we learned. But I think you just learned from eating Chinese food, probably.
Also,
But,
we live in Southern California, which has like a
Yeah,
big Asian population,
yeah.
so it's like you can't really avoid going to Asian restaurants and learning how to use them.
And why would you not want to go to an Asian restaurant? There's so many good ones out here.
so many different types of Asian cuisines.
So good. All right. Next
Thank you for the question.
That was
Kindy.
from Hope.
Hope.
That was from Hope.
The other one was from Kindy.
Kindy was rabbit ears. Next question is from AJ. Which was your favorite place/show to perform?
Oh, we can't pick favorites. It's wherever you were.
I mean, it's been so fun visiting like the UK. Like,
Yeah,
I
well, we've
really
done it-
enjoyed just being able to see another country like that. Like that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think in our we definitely have places that were like, okay, that was not a great show or that wasn't a great experience. But
Yeah.
like as far as places go, we don't.
It's-
It's not like we're never going back to
I was
this
gonna
city.
say there's a lot of factors. Like, are you talking? Yeah, place/show is like what show was the best versus which like location you had the most fun.
I mean, we
in.
Yeah,
usually
like
only-
rarely is a show just all good. I mean,
'Cause,
but
like-
honestly, the like the conventions that we frequent, like Anime Midwest, like that one's really great all the
Yeah.
time. Like everything's
Yeah.
pretty stellar.
And you know, if you've been to something more than once, there's less of a nervousness or whatever. Like with
Yeah.
our first time at Dragon Con, it was like not only did everything go wrong, but also it was our first time. We didn't know where anything was, so we had to be like on top of everything because we just even so we would say, oh boy, that wasn't a very good show with all the technical stuff. But I think we enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
Even if it was one of our,
And, like-
even if it was our worst
well,
show ever.
I was gonna say kind of like in an opposite way, like Downtown Disney is like super memorable to me, and I love that I can say I performed at Disney. But like weather-wise and physically, that was one of the most grueling shows we ever did.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to? For one thing, we're performing in 40-degree weather.
Yeah.
No one else.
I remember
who's
that.
staying around.
and
to
I
watch
got
it
dumped
other
like the night before, and I was like, "Well, this is great. I'm cold. I can't feel my feet."
Our set lists by the end of the night for that December show were wet because it
Yeah.
was
Just
just
from
like
the
misty
area.
and yeah.
So it was wet and
But
cold. And
it
we
was
just
nice
couldn't
being able
escape
to
it.
But
perform at Disney.
performing at Disney was
It was a
awesome.
lot
just-
of work, though.
I just wish there were more people. Well, there were a lot of people, but you know, it was cold. It was like there was a lot of fans. That made us look good.
Also, shout out to the Barstow. What was it? Performing Arts Center. Was that the one we did?
Barstow.
Was it
Oh yeah,
Barstow?
yeah. I think it was Barstow.
I loved that theater.
Yeah.
We did that 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Next question. Let's keep
yeah,
moving because we got
yeah.
a lot to get through.
Okay.
Oh, if you're wondering about these questions, these are coming from our engineer tiers at the $10 level on our
Yeah.
Patreon. Oh wait, I said engineer tiers. I said Patreon. Two different things. Sorry, we have two different sites like that. But yeah, $10 tier on the Patreon website. Get to submit questions to us every month.
This next one is for me and Camille, and sorry Camille wasn't available today, but I guess I can still read it. This question is from Kelsey. We know you get asked about musical influences all the time, but what about comedic influences for you two? And for Chelsea and Camille, if they're on any influences in dancing. And I'll let you guys start. With your
Comedic? I mean,
influence.
I would think definitely like Jim Carrey was a huge influence growing up.
Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah,
for sure.
Slapstick or the cartoons of
Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes was very influential.
I think stuff like that.
And in college days, you know, you got Marcel Marceau and
Yeah, once we started watching some of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Mum and Shantz and all these.
Shields and Yarnell.
Yeah,
So there's, because Steam Powered Draft involves so much stuff. Like there's a lot of inspiration we can take from the physical comedy but you know, it's pretty much
totally.
it's kind of taking everything you like and creating something that you enjoy. So yeah, there's so much to pull from.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as dancing, I can't say there's like one choreographer I'm a fan of and has influenced me, but we have definitely been influenced in
He said
Vigo. We've definitely taken inspiration from like for certain movements from some of our favorite ballets. Like this is solely for the video watchers. No, I don't
You
want
didn't
to eat
finish
it.
your cookie.
For the video watchers, I'm going to do there's a part in Hold Me where Camille and I stand with our hands over our eyes, kind of like we're shielding ourselves from the sun, and that was a direct influence. We kind of pulled that from George Balanchine's Serenade, which has that moment in it where the dancers are all have their hands facing out towards one corner of the stage, and then they kind of like put them over their eyes, like shield their eyes. Anyway, it's bad to translate that into audio, but yes, we have taken little choreography inspirations from some of our favorite ballets. Balanchine's Serenade was one that we took something from Hold Me. There was there's a ballet from City Ballet of San Diego called Leave the Light On, choreographed to Beth Hart's rock music, and there's a moment in that we kind of took inspiration from for the very end of Hold Me. There's a lot more I could get into. Swan Lake, Four Little Swans, the crisscross hand choreography thing that we do is from they use in Swan Lake.
I know that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's about
so. Yeah, there's like little things like that, and that's definitely like a tradition. It's not like you're plagiarizing because you're not copying someone's entire choreography, but there's a lot of things like that that get passed down through the generations in ballet that we have definitely incorporated into our dances.
Cool. Thank you for that question. Who is that?
Kelsey.
Kelsey.
All right. Next question is from Angela, re-asking as requested. I don't think you guys answered this one.
Oh no, I wanted more. I asked for more details.
Okay, so
because
they added more
we
detail.
didn't understand the question.
Angela asks, since this album isn't being made under a crunch and you're working together rather than remotely, will we see a return of a skit and dialogue segment or two in the coming album? Album 1 had The Spine is Stuck before Ice Cream Parade and Horse Adventure. 2 Cent itself didn't have any, but the live album of Globe of Tomorrow had a few included. I know the few on Vice Quadrant were to fill in the story gaps that didn't have a specific song, but were enjoyable. I guess what I am getting at is that when I am listening to a CD, I miss the conversation from live shows, and it would be nice to have a little bit of that.
You know, when we first tried to put our act into an album, that was a big thing that we had to figure out, because some of us thought it was a good idea, some of us thought it wasn't, and I think both points are valid. Like, there are some people who just want to hear the music, and for that, you could say, well, they can skip it then.
Yeah.
So in our first album, we tried to keep that in mind, like, you know, we did a little bit of both, where On Top of the Universe is at the end of the song, so you can just skip to the next track if you don't want to hear the robots talking. Or something like Captain Alexander, where it's like it's not really the song, so we split up the ballad that we do before it with just John singing. So it's kind of like pick and choose. As far as this album goes, well, since we're releasing all the songs in batches first, I think we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because even though it's not just us putting the songs on an album, like, we're actually going to make it a little more cohesive.
Yeah.
So I think
if it fits, but we're not going to force anything. And honestly, like, that's kind of what's special about the live show, you know, like, not that we're against like putting bits into the thing if it makes sense, but like, it's just like, it's when you see the live show and everything, it comes together, and that's one of the reasons we tell people, like, see the show live. It's the best way to experience it.
So I think at a maximum we would have a section for that in an album. I don't think it would be like every once in a while tell a story like we did.
But if you are interested in more lore type stuff, we do have we started a podcast that's been kind of infrequent, but it's called Steam Powered Giraffe Radio Adventures, and that's just all like
the robots talking
and doing bits and stuff. So if there's 3 episodes right now, I think you'd enjoy it.
We'll
go check it out on YouTube.
We were gonna do a Halloween one, but we just never got around.
Yeah,
to it.
we just been really busy, but we'll
with an album.
It's definitely something we're always thinking about, because it's a lot of fun to make those.
And yeah, thanks to you for that question, Angela.
That was Angela.
I keep forgetting names right after we read the question.
Next question is from Abby. Did you all ever get in trouble for performing or busking in areas that you weren't supposed to?
Yeah, I think the first time we tried to busk, we were doing it at I don't know if we got in trouble really.
County fair or something.
No, it was at Jerry's last performance at Seaport Village.
Oh yeah.
Like, they said, "Oh, you can't do that here," because he asked us to, and we were like, "But yeah, you can go do it." And then we were like, "You guys aren't collecting any money, are you?" And we just lied and said, "Oh no," and we had like a 50 cents or something. But I don't think as far as Balboa goes, we
there's
always
just a couple here and there, but nothing really.
We got, like, for Balboa Park, you need to get permits, even though it is like, you know, freedom of speech. You could technically do it, but I think it's private property technically, even though it's open to the public. So You do have to get a permit just so people don't complain.
But yeah, it's just not any notable stories.
No, we're all upright citizens.
I mean, we've definitely performed in places we probably shouldn't be, but like where? I don't know. Vegas? Was there anything in Vegas?
Well, I mean, it's kind of just free game there. We did that for like 20 minutes or something. When we were up there for a festival, we just wanted to try busking on the strip and people gave us $100 and we left because they didn't even pay attention to our act. They just want to take pictures with us, and that was it. That was the end of our Vegas. I think we did a festival before that though.
Next question from Betty: have any of you ever LARPed?
No. I looked into it, but it just all the time I find like LARPs and stuff. It's always like they keep warning you like, oh, at midnight people will go into your tents and drag you out of bed, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like,
yeah, I don't want to. I have some friends acquaintances who did one that's like a zombie one, and they were like, "This is the worst thing ever," because it was one of those drag you out, and they had to stop everything because someone broke an arm.
That's all. That's
I would die.
There's a post-apocalyptic one and a zombie one, and they all have the thing where they drag you out of bed and do all this harassing, and I'm like, that doesn't sound fun in the slightest.
Then there is the LARPing that's like fantasy.
That sounds more fun, but it's
lightning bolt.
But I don't I don't know anyone that does it, and like
some people because I like with the dice and stuff, they still have the dice when you're encountering people.
Some of that stuff sounds really cool. Like I would love to do a LARP because it sounds like a great way to get out and have some exercise and fun. But I don't want to be dragged out of a tent. I don't want to sleep in a tent in the first place.
No. We camped enough as kids.
I'm done.
Never need to camp again.
I have never LARPed.
I'll camp when it's the apocalypse, and I won't be dragged out of my bed.
All right. Next question is from Rachel. In regards to your characters and your general comedic styles, what and who are your biggest influences? A lot of your material outside of the music reminds me of early Hollywood figures such as Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and the Marx Brothers.
I guess. Sorry for not screening all the questions because I think this one's similar to the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all those are inspirations.
Yep. We watched Buster Keaton. All that stuff.
Studied them in college.
I think without pinpointing certain things, it's all about what's more of a timeless kind of comedy. Whereas pop culture references, we obviously do have some of those during our live show, but we try not to put those into our albums because we don't want people 10, 20 years from now to not understand it.
Yeah. Next question.
This question comes from Clash. If animals could talk, which type of animal do you think would swear the most and why?
Birds.
Yeah,
don't they already swear?
Yeah.
Birds.
Yeah.
Just because they're already talkative, so they'd probably.
Birds.
I mean, they already scream. So.
I mean, they
and some of them even learn.
They're very
bad
messy
words.
because they're trying to help spread the seeds or whatever.
Yeah.
So they just kind of spit because food's so abundant. So I imagine
birds would swear a lot.
They would just swear because they can.
Yeah.
Next question.
Wait, everyone disagrees birds? That was my answer.
I mean, I'm trying to think of other animals.
Some people have taught their birds the F word, so birds already swear.
I feel like dogs would say it too, but I think dogs would say, "Oh, they're so precious cinnamon rolls," and they would just be like, "Hi, hi, hi." But
Are you kidding me? Cats would swear more
cats
than dogs.
would be like, "Mom, food." That's what cats would do.
Effing food.
Yeah, exactly.
Get up and feed me.
Okay. I'm just like, no one swear.
Right.
I don't want to cut it out.
Okay, we're running out of time to talk about all the movies we want to talk about. So I'm just saying,
Three more questions. This next one comes from Mitch. What is your go-to class and species in Dungeons and Dragons if you would play it?
Yes, I like the Dragonborn or Tieflings, Bard, or something like a Necromancer, Death Knight type thing.
Most people probably know. I think we've had similar questions like this before. Human sorcerer, but I have played like a
boring
a barbarian warforged before as well.
I have not started playing yet, but I created a character because I was going to start a campaign with David and Camille. And so it's not like my favorite class and species because I don't know anything about D&D, but I'm going to be playing a water Genasi bard. They're the half genie.
Oh, that's cool.
They're like the offspring of genie and humans, and
Sweet.
like you can pick one of the 4 elements. So she's like proficient in water magic.
Oh, is that what happens in the new live action Aladdin?
Yeah.
Because I haven't watched it. I haven't
She
seen
has
it.
blue skin too.
I just like simple things. When it gets too complicated, I'm like, no one can connect with it.
I just like monsters. I like being non-human.
But when it gets too complicated, I'm a half god thing.
Well,
like,
whatever.
Know,
like some people like that.
It gets too like it's not as digestible. I'm always thinking like production wise, like if you know what I mean.
No,
my character has blue skin.
We're already in a fantasy. We're already in a fantasy world.
I also like the kenku. Kenku are great.
Are those the birds?
Yeah, little crow people.
All right.
Thanks for the question,
Mitch. Next question. Bridget asks, finish the sentence. I consider myself a tolerant person, but I draw the line at...
dogs.
Hippies.
That was easy.
I don't know. No, I don't really have any, like...
Keep saying it, and we'll just keep adding to it.
I like dogs.
Keep saying that one.
I don't like hippie
Leave
crystal
it.
culture, and I don't like tantric stuff, but it's not like I hate it. You know, it's like, eh.
What was it? Sorry, I already passed the question out.
Just if you repeat it, then I'll just keep adding words
I
to it.
consider myself I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm deleting them as I go. I
Tolerant
didn't know you were
person.
going to want me to reread it.
Coffee, mint.
Giant strollers at Disneyland, screaming babies at the movie theater,
Yeah.
dogs off their leashes at the trails.
Alt-rights. Pretty much like anyone who just hates. I hate. And I don't like that.
What about Chelsea and I who hate like things?
No, not that. But it's like preferences. You know, even though you say you hate something, it's not like you.
No, I don't go out of my way to
go out of your way to like.
It's not keeping me up at night.
There was a mom with her little toddler and a dog off the leash, and she was letting them run around under the roped off fence in the sensitive habitat area of the trails the other day, and I got so mad I almost said something.
Like, let that habitat grow.
Let that habitat grow. Get your dog in.
Or those people that put stickers on the back of their vehicles with their family.
The word.
Let me tell you,
those?
ain't no one care about your
I think
family.
I'm.
You know
certainly
what
not
else I hate?
strangers.
Okay, it's bad enough when you put those stickers on your car that's like, my kid is an honor student.
We're
but you
losing
know
a
what's
lot of
even worse?
followers.
When there's like the T-Rex eating the honor student.
Because they're just so tacky.
Well,
but you know
anything
what's
like
even
that.
worse is the people who think they're making fun of the people with the honor students who are with the sticker that says my dog is smarter than your honor
That's even
student.
worse.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like a nice
hate a
middle
lot of
ground.
things.
Middle ground with anything.
I'm like, I don't know. I just like people do whatever you want. Like,
Well, sure, yeah.
like I'm not you. I don't know.
I'm like, do whatever you want unless it's tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person.
I just like middle of the ground, like anything.
I
either
feel like you
direction
guys
is too
could
much.
have your own podcast about
Oh,
things I
would we
don't
have-
like.
would we
And
have
I'm
any
saying
followers?
that I'm saying that it, like not as a bad thing. Like
No,
I think
I
people
know.
would actually listen to that. You guys have a lot of stuff that
With special
you have
guest Camille. I mean,
opinions on.
if anyone lived in this house with us, it's just like 24/7.
I'm serious. You should do it.
And it's a contest to see who hates the most.
Yeah.
Each episode, you bring a new thing you don't like.
Hate's a strong word. I think it's more.
You're just
I
irritated
don't-
or perturbed or like.
I don't
you-
even know. I shouldn't have or any relationships or any friends.
I just don't
because
like inconsiderate people mostly, and like people who are mean for no reason and hate. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's not much.
Well, being mean and not liking things are.
Well, see, like my whole tantric thing is because the experience I had was with someone who was not only into all this crystal stuff and all this stuff, but was also like anti-vax and
Oh, no.
and said some very racist things like all Jewish people are aliens, and I'm like, okay, so
What
this
the
is where this kind of
heck?
thinking leads you.
This is what crystals do to your brain.
No, I know that's not true. I
know,
have friends who
I'm
do this
kidding.
crystal stuff and all that, but it's just like that.
Well,
whole-
there's a limit.
placebo.
Like,
yeah,
it's fine if it doesn't hurt anyone.
I'm
but if
just,
it's
but
hurting
when
your
you're
kid or something-
starting to like use this stuff to validate your terrible
Bigotry,
agendas,
yeah.
bigotry. It's like,
All right, we've got one more question. Revis asks, have any of y'all ever had a basement? In Texas, the soil is too weak for us to try in a conventional house, and I'm curious.
I think one of our houses it was kind of a basement, but it was like a half basement because it was just kind of under the house,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like if there was a tornado, it would have ripped the house.
It was pretty
up.
cool. It had like an old vintage calendar down there.
It wasn't like a storm shelter or anything. It was just under that. It was just an extra.
I remember we'd
room.
go down to like hang out in our high school days, and we like play instruments. But it was terrifying getting back up to the house because it was just so dark.
There,
And it was only like it wasn't the
Yeah.
whole house. It was just like a corner of the house that just happened to be on a hill, so you could still see the ground underneath, and then you could see the house supports.
Yeah.
So there were bugs.
I
and stuff.
always thought that I was gonna see like glowing eyes.
I mean-
and meet my end down there.
I think I've only seen a couple basements in my life. I've lived in California my whole life, and I think there's a connection between no tornadoes and lots of earthquakes here. Not a lot of people have basements.
No.
I have a tiny story about this. A girl I was dating, her family had bought a place like somewhere in the Midwest, I think, but they had a basement, and they discovered bones, and they were human, and it turned out that it used to be a sanitarium,
Oh my god.
and for like handicapped people and
Holy
stuff like
crap.
that. PC terminology.
Back when that's what they did.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could do whatever they want, right? So like,
Yeah.
they would. There was cages with bones in them and stuff. Like that's terrifying, right? Like, but these old houses, it was a sanitarium at one point, or like a home for people just didn't have.
Yeah, they're like, well, you don't belong
Yeah.
to society. Sit in a cage.
So
with us,
maybe
you're like-
they probably got like money or something to do this project. I don't know, but it's kind of. But it's not like they had any records, so it's just like
Yeah.
bones and cages and.
And no one who was selling the houses decided to look at it.
Well, it's just because they were like fragments. Like you had to get, like it's not like full cage with a skeleton going like holding on the bars or anything. Anyways, boy, we are not going to be able to talk about all these movies.
Got 20 minutes. Go, go, go.
Wait, we started at 12:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be good. Okay, so first thing.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Turn the podcast off now.
Spoilers.
You got what
Avengers Endgame. If you don't want to, Tony Stark dies. There, we got it out of our system.
So I thought it doesn't stand on its own as well as some of the other Avenger movies.
But that's never the point with these Avengers movies.
because you have to see all of them. So I thought it tied it up pretty well. Except obviously there was some.
There's some plot issues that don't make
holes, but whatever.
I think
guess.
overall Infinity War was better, but Endgame was very satisfying.
It was good. It was a
Yeah.
nice. I think the Captain America thing at the end was kind of like, okay, so he didn't stop 9/11.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of issues with that, but I'm not going to talk about it because that'll take up the rest of the podcast.
But I get it. I get
Captain
the idea.
America's
It was
ending.
like,
I
well, it's
didn't like
okay,
it.
whatever. Yeah.
There's there's so many theories on maybe he was from a different timeline. We don't know. He could have been from a different timeline. There's nothing that says he can't.
I just
You're
like
right.
the idea that he was just sitting on his ass all those years as Hydra took over S.H.I.E.L.D. Just like-
Yeah,
Just
it's. I mean,
eating
I
pork
get.
rinds on the couch, just like I wish I could do something, but I mean, it was a nice. They did a pretty miraculous job tying up all those the original character stories. Though Thor, even though it seems like he's gonna have more to do. He does have a nice arc. He's been through so much, and even though I think that's my biggest critique is
He's my favorite Avenger.
the fat phobia. I didn't have a problem with him being and I think actually Chris Hemsworth fought for him to not magically turn back.
Yeah.
He said he wanted body positivity. Just make him fat. He's
I'm
fat
gonna
now.
actually agree with you that it was maybe funny at first as a visual gag, but
it was the
he's
weird
my favorite
comments.
Avenger, and he spent the whole episode in the background being a joke and drinking beer and
Yeah.
other characters commenting on it. And I was I want to see him do cool stuff. I don't care what his
He's
weight is.
He's a
but
funny guy, but
don't make him be a joke the whole movie.
Yeah, I think the comments were the ones that were just kind of like, why say that? He's a god.
I wasn't really a fan
What do you
of-
had to make fun of him?
I wasn't really a fan of
I
that.
didn't. There was I was waiting for more people to actually be there for him, and Rocket was the only one. He needed help. He's no one. And I mean, then again, Mark Ruffalo's character, he did a good thing. Where he was gonna punch him if he
Yeah.
didn't. He was being a friend. I really like the when he goes over to Korg's headset and talks crap to the kid on Fortnite. Korg is
Korg.
Takia. What's his name?
Yeah.
I thought that was that's more in the line of funny Thor humor, where it's he's overly serious about.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I mean, he kicks a lot of ass at the end, and he doesn't go back to being skinny. So and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
He looks.
I think
he
that
looks
was
awesome
good,
with
yeah.
the dreads and the beard. That looks cool.
Yeah, Thor's great.
But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's too many things that were off-putting about the movie. I think it was enjoyable, especially with something like this where you're following a lot of different. I think the first one you were following a lot of different plot threads. This one felt a little more concise because everyone's kind of together. Or
I haven't seen it.
non-existent until the
I'd
end
love
of
to
the
see it
movie.
a second time, but it definitely had the whole first half is very well paced and very slow. It just lets you drink in this new world that.
I know. I was like
people half the world's
that
gone.
whole first act where they're in support groups and stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is just an episode of The Leftovers.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was
very
good.
similar
It
to
was
that.
good,
It was
though. I like that.
it was high drama.
And you know what? I mean, and even though it's hard to top all the Infinity War battles and stuff, I think that Endgame it was pretty satisfying. The only thing, the critique was the whole Captain Marvel with all the women superheroes going because it was so
forced. But I have to say fine. I think kids will appreciate that, so I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever, I can let that go. It
I
was
feel
pretty
like
cool.
If you had taken any other minority in the movie though and had them all team up for no reason, people would kind of be
It does
shaking their
kind of
heads
make
at
sense.
it.
This goes back to the discussion with Captain Marvel. Where it's I feel like most of the problems is it's just that some of this stuff is a little too on the nose, but I think
Two on the nose.
it is necessary for the scope of the demographic that they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Like it's these moments aren't for us, they're for everyone.
I felt it was what did I say? Patronizing watching it.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little
Like-
bit, yes.
I mean, I can't say anything
Totally.
about it, but that's how I felt. Like
I felt embarrassed as a woman watching it, but I'm not
Yes.
saying everyone is.
I mean,
going
I
to.
like all those characters other than Captain Marvel.
I've seen both of the gamut.
Because I just want to be treated equal.
It was
and not
cringy.
like,
It was definitely
hey,
cringy.
come on, guys, we've never met, but girl power. It's just like I just want to be treated as an equal.
Yeah.
You don't have to shoehorn that in, but
Exactly.
whatever.
I think that's the thing. I mean, even though it's cool to see females do anything, like, I mean, together, like, I mean, you can think of Wonder Woman or Justice League had some cool
Infinity
Athenian
War
stuff going on too.
Infinity War, like they did it again there, but that felt a little
Yeah.
more organic.
yeah.
I liked Scarlet Witch actually did something cool, like with what's her name, Dexy Midnight Runner or whatever.
Yeah.
She got crushed
right.
by that machine or something. I was like, that's pretty sweet. Like that was,
It's just it's hard to articulate when they're doing a lot visually because there's no
Yeah.
dialogue or
Yeah.
words explaining why it's cringy girl power. But like I think of that amazing walk that Wonder Woman does across no man's land,
Oh, I
and
love that scene.
none of that visually is about her being a girl. And that's why it works because it's just about her as a person.
but I mean,
don't know.
but what you take, like the iconic imagery of that happening, it kind of fills you with like a sense of feminism just
Yeah.
because it's so
yeah.
iconic. Like she's helping all these men and stuff, and people,
Yeah.
but like I don't know. And yeah, but it's also the weight of the character. Like I was crying at that point because I was like, ever since I was like little, I wanted to be Wonder Woman, and like seeing her up on screen being a badass and just that's great.
Yeah, I think Wonder Woman definitely. I mean, I didn't feel any of that with Captain Marvel stuff, but I think another thing is they filmed this one before Captain Marvel, so it felt like there's just no way that actress was going to get the character.
I
unless,
don't have as much of a problem with her because I feel like just give her another movie. They just need to flesh out her story more. It's like she suffers from being the first. She suffers from, well, let's not get into Captain Marvel. That's a whole other thing. Let's just say like, yeah, her scenes were kind of but here's the one thing. So how is everyone communicating? Do they all just have like an Avengers frequency on their earpieces?
Yeah.
I will say I liked that they actually wore earpieces. Like some movies they don't. Captain America had earpieces, I think, in his ears and stuff, and I was like, "That.
Yeah.
See, I like that. Let's like
so,
to detail."
so cool moments. Pepper Potts in an Iron Man suit.
I like
that's
that.
pretty badass.
in the rescue armor, that was pretty awesome.
Finally.
That was great.
I love
Yeah.
Morgan, Tony's daughter. It was adorable, and I hope they do something with her.
She becomes Iron Man, Iron Woman,
Well,
Iron Person.
maybe-
Iron Lad was there at the funeral.
yeah, Iron Woman.
yeah.
We were all we
Who
were
is
like,
that?
who is that
Who's
kid?
that adult?
None of us could remember who he was, and then we realized he was the
Yeah.
kid from Iron Man 3.
Which is amazing. That's
And in the
cool.
comics, he's Iron Lad, and he's part of the Young Avengers, along with Ant-Man's daughter, who was in this, Cassie Lang.
Yeah, now she's older.
They're like in the Young Avengers together, along with
There's also Ironheart,
Hawkeye's
who could potentially be
protege.
a character, but she's not.
Yeah.
She could be Morgan. She could be a new character, but
So it feels like they're setting that up.
oh yeah.
If
So
they
she-
bothered to have that kid
yeah.
at the funeral, everyone's like, "What? Who is he?"
well, you already know, like, there's a Hawkeye series, and it's about his daughter and him, like, and training her,
yeah.
and that's gonna be on Disney Plus. WandaVision, which is we're like, oh, so Vision's not dead. How is this gonna happen?
Oh, sorry,
What was that?
me.
I thought it was like
I
my
made a
computer
fart
dying.
noise. No,
Because
I'm
I know
sorry.
you guys are not the biggest fans of Wanda
I
and Vision.
hated
No, they're the
I hated
worst.
Vision and Wanda. You're so
I'm kind
boring.
of honestly, I was glad they weren't in this movie just because.
Oh my god! I was just like, every time they were on
I
screen,
feel, you know what I
was
think
like,
my biggest
"Ah."
problem with it is just that there's not enough time to care.
establish- Yes, not enough time to care.
I cared about her when she was ripping Ultron's heart out because there was a moment when her twin died, and I was like, okay, that's that kind of works.
But so and you don't have the same development as like with Thor. You have so many movies to like.
Not enough movies.
You know?
Even like Mark Ruffalo has done an amazing job like fleshing out his character
Yeah,
with
no.
only being like a side part.
Yeah, he's great.
Without having his own
Thor
like, movies.
Ragnarok.
But he kind of had that.
So
same
good.
issue. And of course, like Iron Man, like that, it was a good ending for that. Someone needed to die, and him dying to save everyone was good.
Yeah, great ending for him.
Robert Downey did such a great. He's my favorite character. I mean, everyone's favorite character. He was just seeing him in Avengers and seeing him like having the banter with Pepper Potts come back from like Iron Man 2, and it just has continued. Like,
And every character gets a cool moment at the end. They all have they basically shine the spotlight on every single character. So if you have a favorite hero from any of the movies. Like Ant-Man, they all do something cool.
Except Hulk, he never gets his.
You're right.
He never gets to punch Thanos. Here's the one plot thing that really bugs me that I have no answers for. Huh. So when half the population
are you talking about the high school?
No. That makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it does. I'll tell you. But here's the thing. Half the population goes away. That's a lot of people. Like, it would have environmental impacts, even if it wasn't animals and plants. They said maybe not plants, but animals definitely did, because they were talking about like the birds returning. Mm-hmm. 5 years have passed, and then suddenly, this giant number of people show up. How are we feeding them? How are we housing them? Like, that's going to create issues. Like, that's going to
there was
have an environmental impact.
You can say that
people are going to starve.
Economic collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe stuff came back too. Who knows?
But if we see that, if we see like the Avengers and stuff, like maybe Tony has a fund or something, like there all these relief efforts. Also, what happened to the Sokovia Accords?
Sokovia.
What's that?
The Sokovia Accords?
I barely even know what that is.
From Age of Ultron or Civil War.
Sorry,
remember?
I hated Civil War.
What? But they still established
that
you can't just go out and be a superhero anymore.
Oh yeah, that whole movie was about that. And
but
now no
I don't remember
cares,
how it ended
right?
because it wasn't.
And I know it's like, oh, the crisis, but when is the crisis big enough? Who determines this? Because Ultron was pretty scary, and like, Loki was pretty scary.
I have another thing to point out. Me and Camille, I like turned Camille in the theater, and I was like, I'm sorry, but it's really funny to me that they split up the superhero groups to go find all these gems, and they send the two humans with no superpowers to the death planet. Like, they send them to the scariest one.
That was kind of cool to see them like all smiling, being in space. I did like that scene too, just seeing how good of assassins they are. With their,
but so, anyways, that sucks that Hulk didn't get the redemption as much as Thanos. But also, it's also kind of weird because Thanos is. It's like it's not Thanos. It's not. He's not the Thanos that we.
It also doesn't
like a cop out.
It also doesn't make sense because he was wearing different armor back then.
They're not facing off against the guy who destroyed their world.
It felt off of what is it? 10 years. Or
emotionally, the villain fight against Thanos felt empty to me because this guy didn't do what his other version did.
Yeah.
It was.
He doesn't have that smugness. He doesn't know. Like, he knows that he won, but he didn't go through it all. So
I was fine with it, but it's a little messy. Yeah. People talk about like the Pym particles, and I'm like. It's he can make Pym particles like as soon as like look at the space travel, like all he has to do is get his hands on one, and he did. he can recreate it. Like, he has this whole army and legions of like scientists. Like, he can totally do it.
So when all the high school students disappear for 5 years, 4 years, whatever it was, and then they come back, does that mean all the other people have graduated?
Yes, exactly. It's just coincidence that
super convenient
that those main characters did not.
That everyone in Spider-Man: Homecoming is
group of friends in high school all disappeared.
But you see, like, things like that would happen though in real life, and you'd be like, wow, what a coincidence. So I'm like, I don't really like. I'm like,
yes.
So that's how they're explaining it.
But maybe if they, depending on how shoddily they handle it in the next movie,
they could be like, what happened to da-da-da? Oh, he's 5 years older now.
It's fine.
There's
a lot of stuff like that is also like, oh, that's a cool thing. Like, in The Leftovers, one of the main characters is, like, people say she's cursed because she had like a 1 in 140,000 chance of losing her entire family, and she did. Like, crazy. Like, everyone's like, everyone basically lost like one person in the disappearance in The Leftovers show, but like this one lady lost everyone in her family. Like, so I imagine something like weird odds would happen like that in real life.
So if you've been watching the superhero stuff, obviously you've probably already seen Endgame, and but if you've seen any of them and you want to complete the whole story, it's a great journey. I think it's miraculous that these movies are as good as they are. Like, honestly, I don't know if anyone could do better. I mean, there's some Marvel. There are a few like duds in the Marvel, but they're all competent movies, even the ones that I hate.
Yeah.
And honestly, and plus, this is not the last. If you're like thinking like I'm out, you have one more movie to watch before Phase 3 is complete, and that is Spider-Man: at World's End or whatever.
I'm there.
Far From Home.
I'm ready for Mysterio.
I like Tom Holland. I love. I think people are saying that he's probably going to be the heart of the MCU, which I think would be amazing because he's already like in his 20s or something. He looks like he's younger.
Yeah.
And as we can see him grow and get all those great adult Peter Parker stories, and like I think that's gonna be really fun. Like he's a super genius. Like they can bring in Doc Ock or like all these different characters.
I'm excited to see Mysterio because I've been waiting for him to be in a Spider-Man movie like my whole life, basically.
But is he
ever since the Sam Raimi days? I was like, when are they going to do Mysterio?
I like he looks cool. Is he going to be magic or is it all just a hoax? That's the thing.
The newest trailer. I don't know. This isn't really spoilers, maybe, but he's from a different dimension.
That's what he says.
Yeah,
which could make sense, or maybe they're just going to do a magic theme with him.
Well, wait. Mysterio as a character doesn't actually have any magic.
No.
It's all like he's a special effects
science,
person.
yeah.
So we'll see what this Mysterio is. Anyways, let's move on to Game of Thrones while we still have time. Game of Thrones. Spoilers. So this season probably the worst season other than a few episodes, and there's definitely cool moments in every episode. But
this could be a podcast all.
I think Chelsea and I both agree that this should have been like 2 or 3 seasons because it all went super fast.
There's nothing wrong with the endings that happened.
No, I'm fine with how it turned out.
It was rushed, so it's like they cut corners to get to those outcomes, and that created a lot of logical inconsistencies.
The pacing also is like
we
don't have any time to feel look how much time they took with all the other seasons.
It's hard to like watch and not feel like it's a casualty of
them not wanting to work on it.
Well, yeah, they've been working on it for like almost 10 years now, and it's like if they wanted to do it justice, like they have to write their own stuff now. Even if George R.R. Martin's like actually like assisting a little bit, it's still just like that's all I could see is like they just need to stop it, and this is the only way they're going to be able to.
Well, HBO wanted them to do more seasons, but they're like, nope.
Surprisingly, season 6 was the first season where they struck out on their own without book material, and it was a solid season. I think season 6 was just as good as 1 through 4. But then they started faltering when 7 and 8 were cut short. They did less episodes, so there was less time to make character journeys make sense.
Yeah.
So
honestly, I've had so much fun with the journeys. Like,
oh yeah,
I thought all the endings were fine. Like, I
agree.
I know some actors weren't happy with how their characters went out or something, but like,
well, it sucks to go out with like. The season was just so short. It's like they didn't get their heyday, or they didn't get their triumphant get out of there.
I didn't have. I mean, we're talking spoilers, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with any of the character endings and the outcomes, like Jon and Daenerys and all that. The one that stands out to me that I felt very like betrayed by as a fan of the characters' emotional journeys was the Jaime and Cersei scene. I felt that they did them dirty. I thought that ending was a bit of a cop-out.
Especially when
Tyrion's coming
all
back Jaime's
and there's like a little
pile
of rocks, and you're like, wait, I thought the whole place came down. And then he's digging them out, digging them out. And you're like, what? They could have just moved over to 10 feet and they would have been fine?
It was dumb, but I will give them, what do you call it? Cinematic license. But still,
well, I know, but it's like it's one of those they could have made it believable, and they didn't.
I think it would have been more powerful if Tyrion was just looking at the little boat that they were supposed to escape in.
Like I liked his crying. The
audience
though.
isn't.
I was like,
too.
oh man, like your brother's dead.
Just
and like
put some more bricks in there, and I would have been fine.
It's hard. It's also hard. Like even though like some of maybe the script writing or the directing or something, I'm not completely happy with it.
All of it was stellar,
Love
except
the
for
actors.
the script.
Love the actors. So it's like it's hard not to just smile and like enjoy. They're doing their best with what they got.
No, I know. I still felt very moved through it because I have been with Game of Thrones since it started in 2011. I've been watching since the beginning. Yeah. So I was still very moved by a lot of the character endings, even though I thought the Jaime and Cersei thing, how it happened, was very dumb. I was very moved by Tyrion's last scene, finding them. But just issues with the pacing, really.
There's some good moments, and obviously, Arya killing Night King's pretty cool.
I wanted to learn more about like all the White Walkers and stuff. That always disappointed. I thought it was over very fast. Not that I had a problem with that. It's just like it felt like
that's part of the stuff that feels like it was cut because they wanted to move on.
It's loose ends. It's stuff like
I kept thinking like rationalizing like you're not supposed to know, but it's just like it just feels like man I want some answers.
No, that was what was
it felt like he should have been like an old king or something or there's something there.
So I know I haven't read them, but I know a lot about the books. I've got a friend who reads them, and I've read a lot of the backstory and all that. And I know that in the books there is no Night King. There's no like leader of those guys.
They're just zombies.
So it's it's gonna play out a little different. And they're way more like robots and machines in the show. Like in the books, they have their own language, and they're seen as just like this other race of people or like beings that are kind of magical and people don't know a lot about. But in the show, they're a lot more like zombies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do like a lot of the effects, like especially in the last couple seasons too. Like, holy crap! Like some of those scenes are
beautiful.
Like I'm talking about like especially the giant scene, like where he's like a zombie and just the amount of pieces to get that together, and they use like a real actor, and you could see like his bones and everything. Like it was like there was some real practical effects. And what's her name? She went out like a boss.
Yeah, the little
girl.
that was a great moment right there.
Bran getting knighted, that was really great.
That was the highlight of the season.
Ghost getting petted.
Finally. Yeah, like,
the internet
finally.
was so... Yeah, anyways.
Well, anyway, so...
Is anyone...
Pretty disappointing for me.
What was the point of Jon being a Targaryen?
Yeah,
what was the point of that?
They didn't really... They didn't... It had no... He might as well not have ever found out.
They went the Democratic route or whatever. It's whatever. But
Varys was the best.
I mean, I like the ending. It's just we need...
He should have just poisoned Daenerys.
God.
Game of Thrones is fine with exposition because people talk. That's how the whole show goes. But there wasn't that as much.
The production quality was amazing, and like the cinematography and the effects were just astounding to me. It was so beautiful, but then you also have to balance that out with good storytelling, because like a scene from season 1 of Tywin talking to Jaime while he skins a deer, no visual effects whatsoever, could be more powerful than something that happened in season 8 with like a ton of CGI.
Yeah.
Like the CGI was amazing and brilliant, but like you need to also pair that with good storytelling.
Totally.
So.
But I'm glad it's over because it was going downhill at the end there for me.
I'm not like super excited for any of the spin-offs they're talking about, but
I
do hope like if they can focus and not worry about getting to the end, then they can tell a good story.
I'm optimistic because George R.R. Martin has created a lot of characters for those shows. He's kind of involved, and D.B. Weiss and David Benioff are not involved, so I'm kind of excited.
That'll be cool. I mean, I really want
to go off and ruin Star Wars, which is already pretty...
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
With what?
I don't know, a TV show, Star Wars TV
show? Okay.
I mean,
or were they doing a movie?
That's what everyone's saying. Everyone's speculating that they cut Game of Thrones short because they just wanted to take off on Star Wars.
I don't blame them. It's a long time to be on a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
Game of Thrones.
Spoiled all that.
Do you
want to talk about Detective Pikachu real fast?
Sure.
I liked it. It has some pacing issues, emotional beats.
You're not going there to see a great story. You're going there because you want to see these Pokemon, and that's the highlight of the movie.
They look photorealistic. They are amazing. The second time I watched it, it was like the amount of work they did on those Pokemon is amazing.
And the story's not bad. There's no there's eye-rolling moments. It's very kid accessible, but at the same time, there's a few plot things that are kind of complicated.
Yeah.
That I don't think kids would understand because it's a whole thing about Mewtwo, switching bodies and
but that's kind of very much in the vein of what a Pokemon TV series might do or something,
I'm just saying
or a game for that matter.
Sure, yeah. Anywho,
I just thought it could have more emotional beats. Like it had some good ones, but it's just most movies suffer from that. It's just like they're trying to get through the action
the story.
I don't blame the actors. Like I didn't really like the female protagonist. Like she was kind of forgettable. I liked the idea of her angle, and I think it plays more on subsequent viewings. Like you can she's like kind of a comedic relief, but they just didn't go far enough. I
thought all of the main human characters were forgettable.
Yeah,
but I think it's for like younger actors. I think as long as you don't hate them, I think I see that as a win. And I'm like, I didn't hate any of them.
I mean, I didn't go into that movie expecting to see Bill Nye play Mewtwo, so it's already a win.
I like the Bulbasaurs. They're my favorite. They're so cute.
The Ditto scene, that was pretty good.
The Bulbasaurs. I want one.
So go even if you don't like Pokemon, I think people will enjoy seeing all these creatures.
I saw it in 4DX, and it was amazing. Really.
So we also saw John Wick 3, and that was good.
It's amazing. I think it's one of the best. I mean, they just upped the ante on the choreography.
I wish they had less talking. Not that they have much talking in the movie.
There's not much.
But that's what made the first movie pretty special to me.
Yeah. The first movie is...
It still checks all the boxes. I'm just saying, like...
The first movie is a real standout.
I could use less talking because...
The second one seemed like there was a lot more talking.
Yeah,
The first
you're right.
one I really like. But the second one's okay. But I like the third one because you revisit those characters from the second one. You get a little bit of closure, or not really closure, but the story evolves and you get to learn more about each of the characters. I really like Lawrence Fishburne's character. And
Yeah, everyone's so great.
yeah.
Well, I guess we're not going to be able to talk about VR today because I'm just getting.
Well, we got a lot. We spoiled all these great movies for you. Go see them.
And me and David get to watch the Deadwood movie this
Oh,
weekend.
Deadwood.
We're not going to have time until Sunday, so
Do you know
I have
what
to
Deadwood's
avoid
about?
spoilers.
I haven't actually started watching some.
So it's based on real life, but it's like, well, it's like Shakespeare but in the dirt.
I need to watch it. I've been meaning
It's
to.
like-
it's a Shakespearean Western.
Imagine like they're trying to emulate
it's
like what people would
so
talk like back then, but then they replace the words.
They elevate it.
Because it would sound like people like would talk like Yosemite Sam, because that's how people
that
talk.
was the
like the language they used.
Well, the profanity they
profanity, that's
changed
what I
there
mean.
because Deadwood came out in 2003. It was like it came out on HBO, but even at the time, it was kind of known as like, wow, they're going hardcore with the profanity. It like really stuck out,
Okay.
like F word left and right, like other bad words too.
But no, they didn't say
But-
that back in the day.
But yeah, I way back in the day, I read an interview with some of the writers, and they talked about the language of Deadwood because that was like a big thing people were asking about back in the day, and they said that they researched the type of profanity and language used by minors in that time period, and they didn't really use the profanity we use today, like the F word and stuff. But they said if we made it historically accurate, they would sound like Yosemite Sam from Looney Tunes.
But it probably just
So
wouldn't resonate as
It wouldn't
well.
come off as like
Yeah.
an adult, mature show. So they changed the language, but it's like, yeah, it's just translating. It's still just as like rough and gritty as those people lived back in the day, but the language is modern.
That's
but they
cool.
also
So-
talk like Shakespearean
Really gotta watch
characters.
it.
it's based on real stuff, and it's only 3 seasons
Yeah.
long, so it's not super long. But every episode's an hour or so.
Cool.
And it's about
so good.
it's about the town of Deadwood that's trying to be their own thing. So it's a camp. So there's a lot of
That sounds really good.
That's-
I mean,
But it
it's an
features-
illegal settlement on Indian
Yeah.
land when the
it
show
features
starts.
Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane,
okay.
Lots of other historical
What's his name?
characters.
figures, yeah.
Charlie Utter, Seth Bullock.
the actor. What's his name?
Al
from-
Swearingen was a real guy, but
That
he's
Al
loosely
Swearingen.
based off of
That's who you're probably
the real
thinking of.
person.
Yeah.
Who's the
what's
actor for that?
Blackbeard.
Ian McShane.
Odin. Ian
Ian
McShane.
McShane.
He's great.
Also in John Wick.
Yeah, he's great.
I'll watch him in
I'm
anything.
still working through Boardwalk Empire season 8 or 5. I can't remember.
I think there's 6 seasons.
Okay, so I must be on 5.
We
I think
just
you're on
watched
5.
season 1 of Barry.
Oh, that's great.
It's on HBO.
I'm really
That's
enjoying
that.
that.
What's that one guy?
Bill Hader,
Bill Hader.
Oh.
Live.
Henry
He's-
Winkler, isn't it?
Henry Winkler.
Is that the one with God?
No,
I
no.
need to watch that
That's
one.
Good Omens, right?
Good Omens.
Or no, that's another one that you're thinking
It's
of.
another one that's coming out. I don't know. It's about like God's roommate or
Barry's
something.
it's about a hitman who
Takes
wants
up acting
who
classes.
takes up acting classes.
That's cool. There's some good
A
stuff.
lot of Dexter.
It's a
vibes
it's a
in
dark
it.
comedy.
That I watched one episode of Tuca and Birdie from Netflix and I was like, that was pretty enjoyable. I was expecting BoJack Horseman, but it's totally its own thing.
It's way more wackier than
I didn't
BoJack.
really like it.
It's not,
It's-
if you're looking
yeah.
for BoJack, it's like not.
Yeah,
that at
I was
all.
expecting BoJack.
I like
I'm not
the
really into the wacky
franticness.
stuff.
I've
Yeah,
seen-
see, that's what turns me
Yeah.
off of it. But I could see where there's a market
I just like
for
the
that.
constant joke. and
I've,
like,
I've
See, I-
watched
I
4
get-
episodes,
I
and
get
I would say the
very
first
exhausted.
is definitely the worst. But
oh really? Okay.
But I've watched the rest, and I'm like, okay, I get it. They definitely find a groove.
I like it. It's a very, I don't know, it's cool to see like some feminine animation because I think it's like the showrunner's a girl.
Yeah.
It's like if Broad City was a cartoon, basically.
Yeah, basically that's what it reminds me of.
But yeah, the quick
The only thing I can't.
YouTube style jokes were like too much
Yeah.
The
for me.
problem with some of this stuff, and I don't know if anyone else feels that way, is I feel like I'm too old to enjoy it because they're going through problems that I don't have because I'm a mature person.
Sure. Well, I mean,
And
yeah.
I feel that way with a lot of shows like this, and I'm like, I mean, BoJack is definitely dealing with stuff that's like, whatever, but this one it's just so like, I don't know. There's less at stake because I'm like, really, you don't know how to deal with it?
I mean, it's just like when you watch anything like Friends or something. It's like depending on your age, like when you watch it, it's like you might be able to relate, you might not.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I'm like, I just got to catch up. I got like American God season 2. I'm still watching.
I haven't watched that one yet.
I'm watching the new Twilight Zone, which is amazing. Some episodes are kind of.
Oh yeah,
It's just like with
I don't have a way to watch that.
CBS
It's on,
Access.
yeah, I don't have that.
I mean, family.
Looks
plan,
good, though.
I can give you my
Oh,
new Star Treks. I still have to finish that, but yeah, Twilight Zone. Oh, it's so good.
I think we're gonna start Black Flags. Black
Sails. Yes, yes.
Camille's been saying that
Camille
was really
has
good.
been recommending it so hard for years now. She says like we would love it. She thinks we would love it. You would probably love it. She says it's the perfect thing to fill that Game of Thrones hole. And she says that like everything Game of Thrones faltered on, Black Sails excelled at, and it ended strong.
Cool.
So I'm really excited to watch that.
Also, Dragon Prince.
What's that?
It's the Avatar, the spiritual successor to Avatar.
Is it by the
Oh,
same
really?
people?
Yep.
Oh.
And
So
not like Korra. It's by the actual showrunners.
Oh.
Oh, so it's not by the creator of Avatar then?
It is, I think.
But,
yeah.
But Korra is a different creator?
I believe so, but
Yeah, I think Korra wasn't the same showrunner.
someone out there knows more than me. But yes, it is the original creators. Their new universe.
Cool.
People complain about the animation, but it gets better. It's just they was kind of they didn't really know what they were doing.
Avatar's
in the beginning.
evolved too.
Yeah, it's
First episode of that isn't the same quality as
Sure.
the last episode.
I like it.
I never finished the last 2 seasons of Korra.
They were okay. There's some. I like some of them. The last one's cool because it deals with like all the spirit world and stuff, and that's kind of interesting.
I think I saw that one.
I think, or maybe I'm thinking about the one before.
Okay, let's end since we've gone so long.
That was a lot that we crammed in.
Well, we're only an hour and 6 minutes, so that's pretty good. Okay,
All right,
thanks for joining us for the Bennettarium this week.
where our opinions don't really matter, but you get to listen to them.
Okay. JoJo's are better than Oreos, by the way.
I would agree.
From Trader Joe's.
You reminded me that I had
even
Oreos
then,
in my stomach.
or Numinos are pretty good too. I don't feel as
Yeah.
sick.
Okay, play a
either.
song.
It's a it was a podcast from Steam Powered Giraffe. It was a Bennettarium. Oh, we spoiled Avengers and Game of Thrones Detective Pikachu on the Bennettarium. Oh boy, it was the Bennettarium. And we'll see you next month.
Adios, everyone.
Vigo. That was a knock on the door.